Welcome back to Timeout with J and G. It's Jay over here. It's G over there.
Yo, what is going on, everyone?
And today we are back. We have a lot of things to talk about today. NBA Media Day was yesterday for most of the teams. There's some stuff going on. Levi disappeared for a second. Obviously, there's the really, really big news. Karl Anthony Towns has been traded to the New York Knicks. That's something we've got to talk about. And there's a couple other rumors. There's some breaking news coming out of the NFL that we're going to get into in a second here. But before we get into all that, how are you doing today, Levi?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Pretty good. You guys probably noticed we have a bit of an intro now before the video started. We thought, kind of make it a little more professional, a little bit more spicy. Was to kind of add that. So let us know what you think of that. But I guess there's a couple things we want to talk about. Let's get started with the the breaking news coming out of the NFL. Let me just adjust that. The breaking news coming out of the NFL. So there was a report that came out earlier, I think this morning or was it last night, that the Raiders have begun reaching out to teams about trading six-time Pro Bowler Davante Adams. Las Vegas is gauging interest and appears to be preparing to trade him. Last night, head coach Antonio Gates hinted at this. There's that thing where he liked the post about maybe Davante Adams being gone. It was something like that. I don't remember the exact post that he liked, but it was basically hinting that that Davante Adams was probably done. And then Davante Adams came on a podcast I think this morning and said he had not talked to Antonio Pierce about it. So I don't know what's about that. And then breaking news came out maybe an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago as we're recording this. Yeah, that breaking news, Davante Adams has informed the Raiders that he prefers to be traded, which I guess isn't exactly I need to be traded, but he's I would just like to be traded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a trade demand, but a trade request almost. You know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously, hold on, we got more breaking news. Von Miller suspended 4 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct. Okay, that came across my screen as we were recording. Okay. So now Von Miller's out for the first 4 games. I don't know what is that about?
I have no clue. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, no, we can't get out of this app or it's gonna cut us off. So that's out of nowhere. So Von Miller not gonna be there for the next 4 games, I guess. As you looking up that now.
Yeah.
As he does that. Peanut M&Ms are the best kind of M&Ms. Okay, well that's interesting.
And Cleveland Browns defensive tackle Michael Holt Jr. is suspended, I believe, 5 games.
Is that just come out too?
Yes.
What is going on?
Let me just scooch. There we go. Violating its personal conduct policy. Miller turned himself in to authorities in Texas after he was charged with 3rd-degree felony assault on a pregnant woman. He called the situation overblown and 100% false in December. Hall landed on commissioner's exempt list in August after he was charged with 1st-degree misdemeanor domestic violence.
Okay, I do remember that stuff coming out about Von Miller. And yeah, it kind of got swept under the rug a little bit, and I kind of forgot about it, honestly. So I guess the NFL decided they found whatever they needed to find. I don't know. Was he ever? I mean, I guess if he was charged, then he wouldn't be playing.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest.
That's interesting. We have way too little information about that one to talk about that right now. That literally just came out. So we'll probably visit that again. But going back to what we were talking about, Las Vegas Raiders Davante Adams pretty much requesting a trade from the Raiders. Honestly, what was that? Two off seasons ago, he left Green Bay to go to Las Vegas because he wanted to play with his college quarterback Derek Carr. Then that following off season, Derek Carr goes to New Orleans, and they've been kind of a shithole of quarterbacks ever since. Just trying to figure out who they want between Gardner Minshew. What's that rookie's name?
Aiden O'Connell.
Aiden O'Connell, I guess second-year player now.
Yep.
Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew just haven't really found too much success. And there's been some quotes over the past year or so about Davante Adams not being happy in Las Vegas. So I don't think anybody's really surprised this is coming out. I guess now we talk about where possible trade destinations for him.
I mean, also to put in perspective, something did break that the Raiders are looking for a 2nd-round pick and compensation for Davante Adams. I'm just saying. the Steelers, you tried to get Brandon Ayuk, you couldn't. Here's your chance to get a big-time receiver. Throw him like a second this year, 1 year fifths this year, a third next year, and a fifth next year.
It's a lot. But, I mean, it's Devontae Adams. I mean, I'm going to say the same thing for my Cowboys. We desperately need another wide receiver.
Yeah.
We desperately need one as well. Also, Amari Cooper seems to be available for a trade as well. And he had his best years in Dallas.
Amari Cooper back to Dallas, maybe?
Maybe because he seems very unhappy in Cleveland. He's been pretty bad this season, but I don't know how much of that's him and how much is he just doesn't want to be there at all. I don't really know. So that's two. I mean, obviously Devontae Adams is still one of the best in the league. Amari Cooper isn't quite that anymore, but still, that's two really good wide receivers that seems to be open for trade, and they'll probably both be traded by the deadline, I would assume.
I assume so. Hopefully the Cowboys, if they do get one of the two, don't get them before we play you. So
Well, that ain't gonna happen. that ain't gonna happen. Jerry Jones probably is not gonna offer anything.
Hopefully we get Devontae Adams before we play you guys, and you guys don't get either one.
Even if you guys get Devontae Adams within this week, I don't even know if he would play.
It's
because
It's Devontae Adams. Just send him on a go route.
Well, you act like you have a quarterback that can throw those consistently.
Okay.
Yeah, you heard me.
Okay.
I've watched Justin Fields for years. Don't change up now. He's Steelers quarterback. I know how you've talked about Justin Fields in the past. I know how you've talked about.
The difference is he actually has a coaching staff that wants to see him improve.
That's very true. No, I'll give him that. That Steelers organization is a much better ran organization than the Bears are. I'll give him that 100%.
If you look at Fields now compared to when he was with the Bears, I think he's progressed as a passer.
Okay,
I think the running ability is still there. It's always been there, but I think the ability to make passes more consistently, I think he's progressed much better in that compared to when he was with the Bears.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Do you see there's the reports that like Wilson's working out now and stuff like that he might be coming back?
Backup. Put him as a backup.
I agree.
Not take Fields out. You take Fields out now, you're going to mess up the entire chemistry that offense has going. And that last game you could put on the defense just as much as the offense. I feel like the defense really kind of put the whole team just in a hole.
Yeah, it was kind of a bad game.
It was.
But yeah, no, this would be. I mean, what's some other teams? The Chiefs need a wide receiver, and they're going to be pretty aggressive trying to get one. Also, they did find out that they believe Rashee Rice does not have a torn ACL.
Ooh.
His imaging came back, and it could still be at least 4 to 6 weeks until he comes back. But it's possible he's not going to miss the rest of the season, which is big for that Chiefs offense because they're already down. They're already down Isaiah Pacheco. Hollywood Brown's not playing at all this year. Travis Kelce just hasn't been very good this season. So their offense is pretty skeleton. So to be able to get Rice back, maybe again might be a month or two before they get him back. But to get him back going into the playoffs would be huge for their team. Yeah, I mean, Chiefs are a team that could use a wide receiver. Jacksonville give Trevor Lawrence a weapon. Because you got to think Devontae Adams isn't going to have much of a say in where he goes.
No, he's not.
So it's like if Jacksonville offers him, they'll send him to Jacksonville. You know what I mean? I think he's got a better quarterback in Jacksonville than he does in Las Vegas. So I mean, not that it's a high bar, but still, you know what I mean? Like that could be like a sleeper team. They are 0-4, the Jaguars. So I don't know if they're looking to make that kind of move right now.
No, I'm not high on Trevor Lawrence. I don't think that bar is too much higher than Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew.
Here's a crazy one. This one's pretty unrealistic, but I'm going to throw it out here just because we've seen Brandon Ayuk be super unhappy so far this season.
Okay.
Do they send Devontae Adams to San Francisco for Brandon Ayuk? That's it. In division. No, it's not in division trade. No. But that's. Hey, both teams walk out with a new receiver, and that sends Devontae to a winning situation where he would be the best target that Brock Purdy's ever had. And then you send Brandon Ayuk to a team. The only thing, Brandon Ayuk's not going to love it, but it doesn't seem like he wants to be on the 49ers right now anyway.
I also just don't think the 49ers would break up the core that they do have. because
I don't know.
you
Ayuk and Kyle Shanahan got into it at practice the other day. Like they don't. Brandon Ayuk does not seem like he wants to be there at all.
he should have just traded him to the Steelers.
Yeah, right. Well, he wanted his money. He got his money, and now he's trying to get out of there. I think.
The Steelers would have gave him the money.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong at all.
I
But I'm just saying that could be like that. That's like I think it's unrealistic, but that could be like a random dark horse. It's like you're just all of a sudden you see Brandon Ayuk in a pick for Devontae Adams. You know what I mean?
three
Just something just out of the realm.
3-team trade. Devontae Adams to the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk to the Steelers, and then picks to the Raiders.
I mean, yeah, that sounds crazy. Player for player trades don't really happen much in the NFL like they do in the NBA. It's usually picks for players. So that's like I said, it's kind of out of the realm. But like that's two people that are unhappy go to a new team. Brandon Ayuk's gonna be just as unhappy in Las Vegas as he is in San Francisco. Probably even more upset, honestly. But hey, you know you got to do what you got to do if you're requesting like with Devontae Adams. He could be upset where he ends up, but he's the one requesting a trade. So you kind of just got to go where they send you.
Yeah, I just hope that they actually put him in a good situation or something like that, and not just throw him to a bottom feeder.
Has he earned that from them?
I mean, it's
He's been there for what, a season and a half, 2 seasons. Like it's not been. It's like I don't know if the name Devontae Adams still holds a lot of weight. I
oh
think
yeah,
not as much as it did in Green Bay. I think he has lost some of that weight he did in Green Bay. But like I don't know if he's been there long enough to constitute them honoring a wish like that, like to go to a certain team.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. What's some other teams that could use a Devontae Adams? Like, nah, Minnesota don't need one.
No,
Um, the the Bears would go crazy.
they already have practically 3 weapons already.
Yeah, but Keenan Allen hasn't been playing much, and he hasn't been great when he's playing. So they're probably not super happy with Keenan Allen right now. DeAndre Swift had like one good game this season. So I don't know.
Broncos give Bo Nixon an actual. I shouldn't say good receiver because that's insulting Cortland Sutton, who's a pretty good receiver, but give him like a definite number 1.
That's an in division trade. They're not going to do that.
Enough.
They got to play him twice a year. I just don't think they trade him in division. That's not something teams usually do. Just then you have to play him twice a year. You know what I mean? And I don't think the Raiders want to do that. I don't know. It could be very interesting. The Chargers maybe. The Chargers might go after him. So, because they don't really have much of that receiving room either.
That's still in division.
Oh, shoot. You're right. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see where Devontae Adams goes.
Yeah, I mean,
But
hopefully in the next couple of days we'll have something breaking, so it's not something that he has to sit out a week before he plays. He can kind of just get right in and keep playing.
yeah. So, is there anything else you want to talk about with the Devontae Adams trade before we move on to Media Day?
Not really.
Okay. So, like I mentioned, Media Day was yesterday as we're recording this for most teams. And there's an article here from Bleacher Report that has one word for each team going into this season.
Okay.
Okay? So they give this team blank and then give the reasoning why. So I'm gonna read you the word. We're gonna talk about the meaning behind it and just see if we agree or disagree, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna start with alphabetical order. So we're starting with the Atlanta Hawks. And their word from Bleacher Report is return. And I'm reading through here, and they basically just talk about how it's safe to say that the DeJounte Murray and Trae Young experiment was a failure. Didn't really work out the way they thought to. They couldn't really exist in the backcourt together like they kind of thought. So now it's saying they're pivoting, they're returning back to Trae Young ball,
Okay.
where he is going to be the sole focus. Well, not the sole focus, but the biggest focus of the offense, where it's going to be in his hand most of the time, like it was back the year they went to the conference finals. Like it is Trae Young's offense. Now they're still talking about they're obviously their first overall pick, Zachary Richard, however you pronounce his name. They have Jalen Johnson, who's a young stud. DeAndre Hunter, who's been around for a little bit, a wing. They have some good wings. Clint Capella is an older guy, center, but he's still pretty solid. Onyeka Okongwu. Like they have a lot of they seem to have a lot of like complementary pieces. You're just seeing if Zachary Richardson is going to be blossom into a star, and if Jalen Johnson is going to kind of continue to blossom into a star as well. But yeah, it seems like they're taking this. Bleacher Report says they're taking this season as like, let's go back to giving Trae Young the ball all the time and just see how our wings and young guys develop around him.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what they should have been doing from the beginning. I mean,
Yeah,
the DeJounte Murray thing was interesting to see if it actually would work out, but in the end, it let's be honest, it wasn't going to work out.
I I I had hopes for it.
Yet,
You know what I mean?
yet hopes, but in reality, two ball dominant guards, one of them can't really shoot the three ball. Was kind of just like it, you hoped it would work, but in reality, it was kind of destined for failure. You know what I mean? Not because they're bad players, but because they're both kind of ball dominant people that want the ball in their hands to try and set up the offense. And neither one of them are really too good working off ball.
That was the point I was going to make. Is that they neither one of them really bought too deeply into the off ball movement system. I think if they could have, I think it could have worked. I think they're talented enough that a backcourt of them could have worked if they were able to kind of. They just didn't really work together.
Yeah.
It was like the early Tatum and Brown talks where it's like you get the ball, you go to work. If not, you pass me the ball, I go to work. You know what I mean? It's a lot of just like like so I'm talking about early Brown and Tatum, not like
Yeah.
nowadays Brown and Tatum. I think nowadays Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown work really, really well together. But like the early couple years, it's like one of them has the ball and the other one's just kind of standing around, not doing much. And that's something that they didn't like. Trae Young and Jonathan Murray didn't really figure out was how to like move off the ball and make it easier for the other one with the ball. Because yeah, like I said, Dejounte Murray's not the greatest 3-point shooter, but Trae Young's a fantastic 3-point shooter for the most part. And if you could get him working off of screens, moving off ball, setting up things for Dejounte Murray too, like that would just I think it would unlock their offense. Same with Dejounte Murray cutting, setting screens and stuff like that because he's a pretty strong point guard. So I think they definitely had the ability to work together. I just don't think either one of them really bought deeply into the role enough.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of wish they would have brought in a new center, or kind of just let Clint
Let
Capella
Nneka play.
go out the door and let Aneka Kongwu come in, and then maybe bring somebody in from free agency to play that backup center role, or kind of give Aneka Kongwu a fight for that starting role, just to bring something new in. Because let's be honest, Clint Capella is getting older. He's not what he used to be. I know that's easy to say for a lot of players, but he's not what he used to be. So I think they got to give Aneka Kongwu a real shot at that starting five position.
Next, the excuse me, Boston Celtics expectation. So basically, what they're saying is there's a lot of expectations for this team, obviously because you just came off a championship, but there's also a chip on the shoulder of a couple guys on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brown felt snubbed by Team USA. Joe Mazzulla was hoping, they said he was hoping that Jason Tatum feels slighted by not winning Finals MVP and by not having the best Team USA run because he's hoping that'll help. Oh, there went Levi. He's saying basically like he's hoping that drives him and makes him hungry to want to get it again this year because basically he said we want to win a championship every year. That's the goal. That's the standard. That's the expectation. Which is, I mean, yeah, the Celtics are a team built to win championships. They're built. Let's be honest. This team is built to win the next 2 to 3 years with the core they have. And I really think coming off this finals run, the East has got better. I'll be honest. The East got better. If the Celtics don't make the finals again this year in the East, I think they look at it as a disappointing season. I mean, I don't know. That's lofty expectations, but that is just that realistically, that's the expectation for the team. They're a great team with two of the better players in the NBA, like a top 10 player in the NBA and a top 20 player in the NBA between Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, I believe. Great role players around them, and like I said, I think Tatum should be hungry. I think Tatum should feel slighted that he didn't win Finals MVP. Not saying Jalen Brown didn't deserve it. I don't think there should be any beef between the two. But Tatum should be like, I'm the best player on the team. I didn't win it. Let me come out this year and prove I'm the best player. You know what I mean? Let's go win another one. That's the way I look at it. Maybe you might look at it a different way being a Celtics fan, but I think that's kind of I agree with the expectation, man. Like I don't know. There's only one or two other teams in the league that I think have as high expectations as the Celtics do, but it's warranted.
Yeah, absolutely. And The one scary thing that I don't think we really think about and look at is during that Celtics run, they were without Porzingis for most of it.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't have Porzingis. They were playing Tillman or Cornette, Horford. Obviously, they did not have Porzingis for a good amount of that like playoff run, which is kind of like scary because now you gotta factor in. Well, hopefully Porzingis is back for the entire year. I think this was one of his most healthy seasons that he's played in a while last year. So hopefully he continues that. And Tatum just won a championship, arguably as the best player on a championship team, and
Mm-hmm.
he can't get minutes on Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yep.
like you said for Brown, it's kind of just like I just won Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP too. I don't get a spot on Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, Derek White and Drew Holiday, they probably just want to win another championship. They don't really have much of a chip on their shoulder per se, but or Porzingis, he probably wants to get back. He
Yep.
probably wants to play in the finals, like 30 something minutes a game, giving someone the business down low, and Horford, I mean, he's an old man, but he gets another one. I mean, if Horford gets another chip, is he a lock for the Hall of Fame?
Lock, no. Chance, yes.
Okay.
I just don't know. I don't know if statistically he has enough to lock him in.
I mean, like everyone says about, oh, we don't really look at college, but he does have the back-to-back titles.
He does. I just think when I say lock, when I think of a lock for Hall of Fame, I'm thinking like first ballot,
Oh
boom,
no
right
no
away
no
they're
no no.
getting it.
Oh no no no.
That's
Like
when I think of lock. That's what I think
oh,
of.
what I mean by lock, I mean like eventually he's gonna get in.
Yeah, that's why I say.
Yeah,
That's why I say for me, lock no, but a chance, yes. But yeah, like I said, I think we just I view lock a little bit more like a what's the word, like there's no doubt in my mind
guaranteed.
first ballot they're getting in.
Like guaranteed.
What was that? Yeah, guaranteed like first ballot. That's how I view lock. But guarantee, like, do I think he's going to? I don't know. It's hard to say. I think his college career definitely is going to help his case there for sure. Um, yeah, I think there's a good chance. I don't know if I don't know if I guarantee he gets in though. So I don't know.
Yeah, but back to the word expectation. I mean, they're expected to be there. They're expected to be in the finals. They're
Hmm.
expected to even Eastern Conference Finals. Even if they get there, that's still not good enough.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be. I'm not gonna like. I'll be happy. Like we made the Eastern Conference Finals, but it's also we've been there how many times in the past 7 years?
yeah.
Like
I think six or seven, six of them. I think.
yeah, it's like we're there all the time, and now we finally made our second chip, and we won it. So the
Yeah.
expectation is championship. So let's go win another championship.
All right. Next is the Brooklyn Nets, and their word is remember. Basically, they're just saying they're talking about. That's a lot of Ben Simmons talk in this one. Since the close of the 2020-2021 campaign, which ended with Ben Simmons infamously passing up a wide open late game layup in the playoffs, he's appeared in just 57 of a possible 246 games. In those 57 appearances, he averages 6.7 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 6 assists, while shooting 43% from the free throw line. Oof. Um,
666.
yeah, right. So they did fully clear Ben Simmons to participate in training camp. There's no restrictions. This is the healthiest he's been since that 2020-2021 run. And he had a quote basically saying, I think people forget me as a player when I'm healthy. I'm pretty good, right? And he's right. Like when he was fully healthy, he was all NBA,
Yeah,
all defensive. Yeah, he was one of the better players in the league when he was healthy last. He's 28 years old, which is crazy because I feel like we haven't watched him play in like 4 years. So to think he's still 28, it's like you know what I mean. Um, they're basically just talking about like the team. It's Ben Simmons, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Nick Claxton is like they're kind of their main guys, I guess. But we all know they're gonna be bottom five in the East, probably bottom three in the East.
yeah,
I think this team should be tanking for Cooper Flag.
yeah.
I don't think they have anything better to do than to tank for Cooper Flag. Um, so that's basically just all they're talking about. Just like I think they use the word remember for like Ben Simmons. Like, are we going to get like this is the healthiest Ben Simmons been going into a season? Now, on the other hand, this isn't nearly as talented of a roster that he had in Philly. So like a healthy Ben Simmons you're gonna like if we see a healthy Ben Simmons, not like a Philly Ben Simmons, but like a healthy this version of Ben Simmons. I still don't think it's gonna be as impactful because the players around him just aren't as good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Ben Simmons is a great passer, and it's like he's kicking out to Cam Johnson, which is cool, I guess, or he's kicking out to Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is gonna take them shots.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
like,
Cam Thomas,
but
the
like,
next Michael Porter Jr.
yeah, right. I don't know. Like, I'm for one, I'm excited for a healthy Ben Simmons season. I'm also curious to see what it would look like on this Nets team. Is it like 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists? Like that could be a healthy Ben Simmons season with this Nets team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think he would handle the ball a lot. They have Cam Thomas, right? But it's like they don't really have a lot of other point guard. Dennis Schroeder's on the team, but I think genuinely Ben Simmons could handle the ball a lot for this team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, they don't really have a whole lot of ball handling. I feel like he goes back to that point guard, power forward, or just that point forward
Yeah,
role
point
where
forward.
he's bringing the ball down and he's just dishing it out. Maybe getting to the paint a couple times, but I would love to see Summer League Ben Simmons come back.
Hmm.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know about Summer League Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that I'm gonna be honest. I know he was, he was really good in Philly, but just go back and watch highlights on Summer League Ben Simmons.
All right. Yeah, we don't need to talk about the Nets as much. We know they're going to be bad. Um, Next is the Charlotte Hornets. Their word is braces, and this may be off the wall, but it shouldn't be too difficult to see what we got here. Okay. Okay. They're using braces as a term. Braces is basically just a stand-in for LaMelo Ball's health, something that's been shaky to say the least. So he's had a bunch of ankle injuries. We know that. Over the 23-year-old has appeared in just 58 games over the last 2 seasons,
Ooh,
which is like 58 games and like what that's like 164 because 82 games a season.
yep.
So it's less than 50%. And Brandon Miller had a fantastic rookie year last year. I think he blew a lot of people out, expectations out of the water of him. But at the end of the day, this, when healthy, is still LaMelo Ball's team.
Oh,
He's the lead guy on the team. He's the lead facilitator, ball handler. He's going to have the ball in his hand most of the time. And I think it looks like basically what they're talking about is just LaMelo Ball's health. Kind of the same thing about Ben Simmons, just like what can we expect out? We don't really know what this team's going to look like until we understand what LaMelo Ball is going to be this season. Is he going to be on the court? Is he not going to be on the court?
yeah.
And
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say 100%. I mean, this team kind of revolves around LaMelo Ball. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
from the start to the end. I mean, we did see flashes with Bridges and Miller
Miller.
uh, going crazy, doing their thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is LaMelo Ball's team.
Mm-hmm.
He, in my opinion, he's by far the best player on the team. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
I think right now, maybe I think Brandon Miller, if he progresses the way he looked like he might play, he could quickly take over that spot.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, right now,
Yeah.
he's the best player. And I mean, there's, yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, this team might be fighting for a play-in spot or maybe right on the outside of it. But I just, it, it's rough. It's rough in Charlotte.
Yeah. I mean, also you got to think Brandon Miller had a great rookie year last year without really having a point guard all season.
Yeah,
Like he just didn't really have a facilitating point guard at all last season. And one thing LaMelo Ball is good at is facilitating the basketball. He can shoot. We know that he's got that funky jump shot. So I'm curious to see a guy like Brandon Miller progression with a true playmaking point guard as well.
yeah. Also, shout out Grant Williams, about to go crazy this season.
We'll see about that. We will see about that.
Shout out Grant.
Okay. Shout out Grant Williams. Next, Chicago Bulls. Their word is available. Oh wow. Okay. So last season, DeMar DeRozan and Kobe White were tied for the Chicago Bulls' lead and assists per 75 possessions at 5.3. That's pretty low. In 2024-2025, following the acquisition of Josh Giddey and the recovery of Lonzo Ball, Chicago now has two of the league's most pass-heavy playmakers. They're 21st and 25th, or 21st and 28th, respectively in career assists per 75, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it looks like basically they're just talking about Lonzo Ball, for the most part. Lonzo Ball and Josh Giddey, and potential trade markets for Zach LaVine and Vucevic. So we'll attack this. We'll start with We'll start with Lonzo Ball. It seems like Lonzo Ball is going to be there to start the season,
Yeah,
which
I was gonna say
fantastic.
it seems like he will be available
Yeah,
to start,
and
which is remarkable.
I'm pretty sure he has not played since like January or February of 2022.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since we've seen Lonzo Ball play in an NBA game, and I'm excited to see him play. I'm not excited to see him on the Bulls, if that makes sense, because it leads into this next part with they acquire Josh Giddey, who, listen, we're keep everything off the court. We're put that to the side right now. On the court, Josh Giddey is a very good playmaker. He's been kind of struggling to shoot the ball. He's been struggling to defend. But there's one thing Josh Giddey can do is it's play make. So you have a guard, a playmaking guard in Josh Giddey. You have a playmaking guard in Lonzo Ball. You have a guy that broke out last season, a scoring guard in Kobe White. You have a guy that also broke out in the second half of the season last year, a guard, Ayo Dosunmu. And then you have another guard coming back from injury who demands the ball a lot, Zach LaVine. The problem I have with this Bulls team is that over half the rotation is guards. And they lack wings very badly. They have Montas Buzelis, the rookie they just drafted. You have Patrick Williams. You have like Torrey Craig on the back end if you really need to get minutes. Like there's just not a lot going on at their wing spot. And there's no way all these guys play or get at least significant minutes on this team. And that's why one, I was confused by the Bulls acquisition of Josh Giddey. But then I think it was more just the OKC trying to get Caruso. I think that was the biggest thing in that trade. But it was just weird to me that they got Josh Giddey. Lonzo Ball comes back. So that's another guard. And then Kobe White, a guy, like I said, that broke out last year, that it seems like is going to lose a lot of minutes because these other guards are coming back. Ayo Dosunmu had a great stretch the last like 20 games of the season last year, was averaging damn near 17, 18 points. Like he had a great stretch to finish the season last year. And again, another guy that's just going to lose minutes now because these guys come back. So that's why I think for the betterment of Lonzo Ball and the betterment of the Bulls, he's somebody that needs to go. I just think he needs to find himself a new team where he can be on the court more, and the Bulls don't have to worry about playing him over their young guys. Same with Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is a guy that I just don't think should be a Chicago Bull anymore. He had a whole he had like a 2-minute ramble. I don't know if you saw it at the start of his media day, which basically just talked about don't listen to the rumors about like me being traded. Like if you want information about me, come to me or talk to the Bulls organization about me. Don't get these outside sources. And then a report came out that the Bulls are shopping him around. So I guess he's gonna. They're trying to trade him, but they have a lot of guards, and I don't like the rotation. I don't like Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu should get a lot of minutes this year, but it's gonna be hard to do that behind Zach LaVine, Josh Giddey, and Lonzo Ball.
With how they played last year, I don't think they're behind Lonzo Ball and Josh Giddey.
I don't know, man. You gave up one of the best perimeter defenders in the league for Josh Giddey. You can't just not play him that much because of it.
I don't know. I still think Kobe White starts at point.
I
I
agree.
at least Kobe White starts, and maybe the Sumo is your sixth man, but Kobe White has to be your starting point guard, in my opinion.
I do think it's gonna be Kobe White the guard, Josh Giddey the 2 guard, and then Dosunmu as a bench piece. Yeah, I do agree with that. It's just like then it's like do you have Zach LaVine playing a 3? I guess. Actually, I think they did. I think that they did show their starting lineup. Let's see if I can find that. Bulls 2024 start. If I can type starting lineup. I saw the picture. I'm not sure where it went.
Bulls.
Because they posted on their Twitter for media day, but I can't jump on Twitter because it'll knock this off.
Okay, so obviously this is ESPN, the depth chart for ESPN, but they have Josh Giddey is the point guard, Kobe White is the shooting guard, Zach LaVine small forward, Patrick Williams power forward, and then Voos at the center.
Yeah, okay, that's what I saw. Yeah. I just couldn't remember when they hit the 1 or 2, but I'm fine with Kobe White being the shooting guard too. He's more of a shoot first player, so I'm fine with him being at the 2 guard. He's going to get the ball in his hand plenty. Patrick Williams is another guy that we needed to He has really not progressed at all in the past 4 years, and they spent. I think that he was the 4th pick in that draft, and he hasn't really done anything. That's a guy they need to worry about. But again, with Lonzo and Josh Giddey, like he's still not going to get the ball anymore because before they had Zach LaVine, they had DeMar DeRozan, so he kind of fell out of rotation. Then they trade DeMar DeRozan, and now they have a bunch of guards, and Zach LaVine comes back to take the ball away from him. Patrick Williams just isn't really getting a chance to have the ball at all. So I don't know, man. It's frustrating. I don't know. The Bulls team has a lot to talk about.
They do. They got a lot to figure out.
Next, we'll jump into. Oh, where'd that go? My thing crashed. Give me 1 second. Cleveland Cap. We're going to start flying through this a little quicker because we've been taking a lot of time with some of these. Cleveland Cavaliers continuity. They basically, pretty much it is the same team, pretty much as last year. And they had a hard fought first round victory against the Orlando Magic last year, and then they lost in the second round to the Boston Celtics. And they really didn't get better. Like they didn't do anything to get better at all. So I don't. They did bring in Kenny Atkinson as a new head coach, but like I don't know, man. I don't see this team being any different than the second round exit team. They
No.
didn't do anything at all. Like I understand last year Darius Garland had probably the worst year of his career, and they had some injuries between all the big four of them. But this team's not better than the Celtics. I don't think this team's better than the Bucks. I don't think they're better than the Knicks. I just don't see them getting past the second round.
And if you look at it from like a perspective, right? Celtics are going to be probably a top 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Knicks are probably going to be a top 4 seed. Knicks, Bucks, Celtics, and 76ers, presuming injuries don't happen, are going to be a top 4 seed. All of them are top 4. And then I personally think Magic are going to take the 5 seed.
And so you think they're going to drop down to damn near to play him?
Yes.
That's
because you got to figure. I mean, even with Orlando, most of their guys are young, and they're going to keep getting better.
I think Orlando's definitely the one that's like where you draw the line. Like maybe they could, maybe they couldn't be.
I think
Indiana has Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam.
Like I said, some of these teams are younger and getting better. I think the Cavs, just because they're not like bringing people in, or I shouldn't say they're younger, but I just don't see the progression that's going to happen to have them keep that 4 spot. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're going to drop down, and when they face some of these other teams, they could not, they could lose in a play-in or not even make it out of the first round.
I think the only pushback I'll give is just you said that you don't see any way they're better. And the only thing I say is, again, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland missed a lot of time last year. And Darius Garland was just bad last year, even when he was healthy. Jared Allen missed time. Evan Mobley, like I said, their best 4 players missed time last year. And I think if you talk about health, like you do with the top 4 teams, I think if you give the health consideration to the Cavaliers, I do think they're a better team than the Magic. Because I think people are starting to kind of forget Donovan Mitchell is basically a superstar in this league. Like people kind of forget how good Donovan Mitchell is. I do think, like I said, I think they're better than the Magic. The 76ers are a weird one because again, you get to talk about health with that team, with the players they have. The Bucks also talk about health. They're just kind of a weirdly built team right now as well. So I think there's a world where they hit a 3 seed depending on how the 76ers and the Bucks play. But then I think they have a range of like 3 to 6 as well. But I don't know. It's going to depend on health again for those 4 guys.
I'm thinking like end result is probably 5 or 6.
That's fair. All right. Dallas Mavericks keyword is Clay. Fair enough. Pretty much they just talk about it's weird seeing Klay Thompson in a Mavericks jersey, which he was.
Yeah.
Or to see him at least not in a Warriors jersey. I don't know, man. He had a quote that said, "Playing with Luka the past few days in the pick and roll has been like the best I've ever seen." So that's a pretty strong quote when you played with Steph Curry your entire career.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think I agree that Luka's a better playmaker than Curry. So I don't think it's that crazy. And they both deserve both Clay and Steph Curry, both Luka and Steph Curry demand a lot of attention from the defense. So I'm sure it is probably pretty similar as between. Like, obviously, he's not as great of a shooter as Curry is, but they both demand a shit ton of looks from the defense. I think Luka's a better playmaker, so I can kind of buy it.
At the end of the day, it's going to come down to how Klay Thompson shoots.
Yeah.
For the Mavericks, because obviously we've seen the Mavericks make the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
with Luka and Kyrie and then everyone else. But didn't they? I believe they lost technically their best defender. I think Derrick Jones Jr. left.
Derek Jr. Yep.
They
Yep.
lost him, so now you're banking on Clay coming in and shooting like Clay from a couple years ago. I'm not saying he can't get back to that point, but from what we've seen last year, he may have a game or two, but I don't think he consistently keeps shooting like he used to.
I mean, in all fairness to Clay, since over the past 3 seasons since he came back from his injury, he's averaging 39% on 9.7 attempts. So he's still like knocking it down. But I agree, he's definitely had some games, especially last year, where it looked bad.
Yeah.
It has definitely looked bad. But I will say one thing: they did lose the defense of Derrick Jones Jr. But one thing about the Mavericks last year was that they really didn't have any shooting at all. So they did bring in one of the best shooters of all time. Again, not prime Klay Thompson, but he's still damn near a 40% 3-point shooter, and that's
Yeah.
something that Luka and Kyrie are going to love to kick out to. Because Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington, them guys weren't really like, maybe from the corners, yeah, but you couldn't really trust. Klay Thompson can spot us from anywhere on that court and shoot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I do agree they got a little bit worse defensively, but I think the spacing Klay Thompson is going to make a bigger difference too.
But now on the defensive side, who's guarding the other team's best player? PJ Washington?
Najee Marshall.
Okay. But like you're
He's
not
not starting, but Najee Marshall's going to get these time.
but like Kyrie, he's getting older, and his defense has been okay at best in my opinion. Luka's
I
got
don't know. Kyrie locked in defensively last playoffs. He's not going to do that the entire regular season.
yeah.
But I think if you get at least an engaged defensive Kyrie Irving, he'll be decent. I think he'll be decent.
And then Luka, as we've seen what can happen with Luka
Yeah,
with
yeah.
defensively.
Kyrie and Luka are two guys that when they're balled in defensively can be good. It's just about getting them to buy in, and they're not going to do that. Of course, over the course of the entire 82-game season, they're not going to be balled in every night.
No.
So it's just about really buying in when you need them to.
And then obviously you have Clay, who in his prime, one of the best two-way players in the game. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously at the center position, you're going to have Lively or Gafford, and then power forward is PJ. So, I mean, like your best on ball defender consistently, 100%. You got to argue that it's PJ Washington.
That's something. Ain't it?
That is
That's,
something.
okay.
How the
Next we have the Denver. Huh?
How the M&Ms.
Really good. Next is Denver Nuggets, and their word is leadership. A lot of talk about Russell Westbrook. So basically, Russell Westbrook isn't 2017, 2018, even 2019 Russell Westbrook. He's not that triple-double average. That's not him anymore. But I still think Russell Westbrook offers a lot in the locker room and still on the court. We saw it last year in the Clippers. He was one of the few guys going to the playoffs that really cared about the team still. A lot of guys are hurt, down and out. Russell Westbrook, he's always going to come with that energy and come with that fire and passion. That's just who he is, and it's something that really never goes away. So I'm curious to see how that fits in with a guy like Jokic, who seems to be kind of like, not that he doesn't, obviously Jokic cares, but he's not as the fiery guy as much. You know what I mean? I'm curious to see how that works. They kind of tiptoed their way around calling him a backup point guard at the media. They didn't really call him a backup point guard. I don't think there's any world where he's not the backup point guard. Because they did lose KCP, but I don't see a world where Jamal Murray and Russell Westbrook start together. I just don't see it. I think his at this point in time, excuse me, at this point in time, Russell Westbrook's best fit is a high energy guy coming off the bench.
100%.
That's what he was. That's what he was from the Clippers, and he has some really, really good moments as it. I think I don't know. I guess they'll start like Jamal Murray, Christian Braun, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. I'm assuming Christian Braun's going to step in that 2 spot. They're definitely losing some shooting there, and you didn't bring it in with Russell Westbrook. You're not bringing shooting with Russell Westbrook at all. I don't know, man. I do think. I'm trying to think, man. Do you think a guy like Russell Westbrook brings the passion back to this team to maybe fight for another championship?
I feel like KCP, for all intents and purposes, he played a big role in the Nuggets
100%.
teams, offensively and
Yeah.
defensively. I don't think Braun is going to be able to fill the void that's there. Like people are
Mm-hmm.
going to think like, oh, KCP, whatever, but no, KCP was one of the biggest pieces for that Denver team, in my opinion, one of the most
Mm-hmm.
untalked about. And Russell Westbrook fills some of the voids, defensively the finishing, but the shooting is not there. He brings the energy. I just don't think with how Jokic is and how laid back he is. I feel like how Jokic is laid back and how Russell Westbrook is fiery. I think there's going to be a little bit of clashing that
Yeah.
goes on a little bit. Not, I don't think too much is going to affect the team too much, but I mean, there is going to be that kind of push, that kind of like butting heads, because
Mhm.
Jokic, he's not a real intense guy until he needs to be intense, as we've seen in the past. Like, something has to happen for him to get intense. Westbrook could just walk out onto the court, start of the first quarter, and he's already fired up, ready to go.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, does Russ Westbrook, like, being that kind of guy ignite Jokic to be like that more?
I don't.
Like, I'm not like all the time. It's not going to be like Russell Westbrook, but I do think that energy is going to be infectious enough to get guys fired up.
I think come playoff time, yes, but through an 82 game season, no.
That's fair. I don't know, man. If we can get Jamal Murray fired up, we could have a crazy Jamal Murray year too.
Don't say that.
I don't know why. Why? What's wrong with that?
The only team I supposedly really fear is the Nuggets. And if Jamal Murray goes crazy, it's not good.
So we've been kind of running along. I don't want to. Some of these teams, just it doesn't really matter to talk about. We were doing all of them, but I don't want to go. It's going to take us 2 hours to go through 30 teams at this pace.
Yeah.
So there's just a couple teams I want to talk about. One is the Los Angeles Clippers. You thought I was going to say Lakers, but no, I said Clippers.
I was ready for the Lakers.
No, the word for the Clippers is leftovers, which makes sense because they lost Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. We don't really know if he's going to be there for the start of the season because he's had that thing coming out with his knee, his surgery, and stuff like that. It's going to be the James Harden show probably to start the year
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, and he kind of had a quote that's saying he's basically ready for it. He thinks he can do it. Um, he kind of had a quote alluding to the fact that because I remember back when he was in Houston, people were saying that kind of basketball doesn't win championships, like the heliocentric bound pound bound shoot kind of offense. You know what I mean? And he kind of made a quote saying that listen, we just saw a guy in Luka Doncic go to the finals last year playing that kind of basketball, which he's right about. But I also think he needs to understand that he's not Luka. He's also not Houston Rockets James Harden anymore.
Yeah.
I think the idea of his quote makes sense, but it doesn't really translate to this team right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe getting James Harden the ball with nobody else. Maybe he goes out and averages 30 this season for the stretch that Kawhi Leonard's not there. You never know. You know what I mean? I don't think he lost talent. You know what I mean? Like I think he's still a talented guy, so he very much could do it. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know. This is a team that I the Clippers, man. I think they're like a playing team, and if Kawhi Leonard doesn't play much this year, they could be bad.
I even with I mean, obviously it is Kawhi Leonard, but I'll be surprised if this team is a top 8 seed.
If Kawhi's healthy, I think they're a top 8 seed. Um, but yeah, the question of Kawhi being healthy is a tough one that we haven't really seen in years.
Yeah, I think the last real healthy year was 2019 when he won the chip
Yeah,
with Toronto.
yeah, yeah. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm excited to watch James Harden ball a little bit. If we get to see that for like a month, that'd be kind of cool to see because it's been a while since we've seen that.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Next one I want to talk about is the Grizzlies. Their word is comeback. Obviously, John Morant. John Morant played, I think, nine. I think it was 9 games last year. It was under 10 games because obviously he got suspended, came back, and then had his injury, so he was out the rest of the year. Um, they drafted Zach Edey, and their projected starting lineup that I saw for media day, at least for media day, their lineup pick they did was John Morant, was Marcus Smart, was Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., and then Zach Edey. That was going to be the projected starting five, which I might. That's not bad.
Not,
That's not bad. You got two really good defenders in Marcus Smart and Jaren Jackson Jr. You got a guy that's like 7 whatever down there at that center spot who you would just hope can clog up the paint enough And Desmond Bane is a good defender in his own right. He doesn't have the wingspan to really compete too much. And I'm a little concerned, or not concerned, but like a little curious to see how Desmond Bane fits guarding threes. You know what I mean? As players get bigger, taller, it's going to be kind of harder for him to step in that. So I don't know if Marcus Smart starts all year. Maybe just the start of the season, Marcus Smart starts, and then you move Desmond Bane back up to the 2 and bring Smart off the bench as more of like a backup point guard role. But I don't know.
I would say Smart has been known to defend people pretty much at every position. I mean, I
Yeah.
guarantee at some point he's been down there guarding a center
Yeah, I'm
at
sure.
some point. So I feel like it wouldn't be that much of a real difference if they put him, if they kind of like ran this lineup, but had Smart kind of more guarding the 3 or guarding the best player. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, and Zach Edey, 7'4",
What
tall,
a guy.
large man. There's gonna become a point to where when they go against a team like a Spurs, a Thunder, a Celtics, when you have a big man that is over 7 foot but can move. You know what I mean? Now Zach Edey, obviously with how big he is and how much he weighs, his foot speed is gonna be a little bit slow. So I wonder if that's something that they've been working on to try and get him faster and, get quicker in like a half court setting when you're trying to guard someone like a Wemby, a Chet, um, a Tingus Pingus,
Yeah.
Kristaps. I mean, my biggest concern for this team is just Zach Edey being able to move offensively and defensively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with a guy like John Murray being your point guard, you don't really want your center to be stuck in the paint.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna be. But I guess we'll see.
could be a crazy pick.
Russ Westbrook did it with. Yeah. A couple. There's 2 more teams I really want to talk about, and they'll kind of lead us into the. I say the main part. We spent a lot of time on this, but the biggest part of this episode at the end here, we're going to talk about the Timberwolves and the New York Knicks. So we'll talk about the team. Well, okay, let's actually talk about the trade first, and then go into so it kind of relates to like what they're talking about. On Friday night, a report came out that the Knicks were in the market to be trading for Karl Anthony Towns. And that was the report. There was no details on what the trade was going to be. That they're just looking to trade for Karl Anthony Towns. And we were like, okay. And then the trade comes out from Shams, as some kids are calling it a Shamber alert instead of a Woj bomb, which is pretty fire. I'll give it that. That the Knicks are trading Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Karl Anthony Towns. And then I think there's like DeQuan Jeffries and some there's some salary cap fillers that went to the Charlotte Hornets to kind of make the trade fully work. So shout out to Charlotte Hornets for just kind of facilitating the trade a little bit. So yeah, obviously a lot of people were shocked at this trade because it felt like it really came out of nowhere. Honestly, like just a couple of days prior to that, or like a week or so prior to that, Tom Thibodeau was out there talking about like how Julius Randle was probably going to have some minutes this year at a small ball 5 because of Mitch Robinson being out for a while. So it felt like, the Knicks also traded for Mikal Bridges a couple months ago. So it felt like, okay, this is the Knicks team going into the season. You know what I mean? They made their big splash in Mikal Bridges. They're talking about Julius Randle playing some small ball 5 minutes. And then on September 27th, exactly 1 year after the Damian Lillard trade to the Milwaukee Bucks, same day, 1 year later, Cat gets traded to the New York Knicks. And so there's obviously, like I said, a lot of different opinions. A lot of people right away did not like the trade for either side, right? There was concerns. Obviously, people like Knicks fans were upset that they lost Dante DiVincenzo because of the whole Nova connection they were building. Yeah, I get it, but I don't. They lose Julius Randle. For me, I think losing Dante DiVincenzo hurts. And if you want to talk about the Nova connection, that's fine, whatever. If you have a chance to get a guy like Cat, Dante DiVincenzo can go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, let's be honest. Like, Cat is the better player out of all 3 of them. We're trying to win a championship. Okay, like, I'm bringing in Cat. Then the reports came out that apparently Dante DiVincenzo was unhappy with having to play a reduced role next year after the way he played in the playoffs, and that he wasn't exactly as thrilled with the whole Nova reunion that a lot of other players were and a lot of other people were. So it seemed like he wasn't really even bought into it anyway. So then, yeah, let him go, man. Like, I understand the Knicks depth-wise, their bench is going to be kind of rough this year. The Knicks bench is going to be kind of rough, but this starting five is one of the better in basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And my biggest concern for the Knicks is you're probably going to be starting Cat at the 5.
Yeah, 100%.
You're starting Cat at the 5. Cat showed that he can be a good defender in the playoffs against Jokic. I will give him that, but I feel like at this point, kind of because you got Jalen Brunson, who's going to want the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Bridges is going to want the ball. And now Cat's going to want the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even obviously Josh Hart and
OG Anunoby.
Anunoby. They don't demand the ball. But you got you're technically like your three-headed monster there, but I feel like Brunson and Cat are ball dominant. They're going to want the ball every time down. And as we've seen in Minnesota, Cat sometimes doesn't take the best shots.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't take the best shots. Hopefully the new scene with the Knicks is going to help him with that, and hopefully they get a connection faster because the season is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side for the Timberwolves, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, when you go against like Denver, who is guarding Jokic? Because we've seen when Rudy was on Jokic, he just gets bodied all the way down. When Cat was guarding Jokic, he could, stop him, brick wall him. And then Rudy was a excellent backside help defender on a cutting Aaron Gordon or someone that was cutting. It just worked very well. Now you're looking at having, unless you put in Naz Reid on Jokic, you're looking at Randle on Jokic. Or Gobert on Jokic, and one of those two being the backside defender. I think in that aspect you got worse.
Yeah. I'm going to bring it back to the Knicks for a second. I want to finish talking about the Knicks first before we jump to the Timberwolves. I agree that, like I said, we saw defense from Cat in the playoffs. And then even still, you have Josh Hart, you have OG Anunoby, you have Mikal Bridges. I don't think it's going to be that heavy of a workload on Cat defensively anyway. They have a lot of great perimeter defenders. When it comes to the offensive side of the ball, Mikal Bridges is going to be the third option on a team. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be Jalen Brunson. And it's going to be Cat. And we saw Cat work with a high dominant ball player in Anthony Edwards just last year. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's going to be an issue there between the three of them getting the ball because it's going to be Jalen Brunson's team. It's going to be Cat. And I think Mikal Bridges was one of the best role players in the league for 4 years in Phoenix before he went to Brooklyn. You know what I mean? It's not like this is a guy that's been a number one option his whole career in Brooklyn and is now coming to the Knicks where he's like a 3 or 4 option. He's well versed and great at being a role player. So I don't think Mikal Bridges' shot attempt is going to be something to worry about at all, honestly. He's going to get him in the flow of the offense. You know what I mean? Between Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby spotting up, and Jalen Brunson and Cat doing the pick and roll, pick and pops like that, those guys are going to get their shot attempts. I really don't think there's much of an issue there. So I do think even Mikal Bridges could be a guy that if Brunson's on the bench and Miles McBride is in, Mikal Bridges can bring the ball up sometimes. So it's like the more I think about it, I like the fit in New York. I think it's gonna be even better when Mitchell Robinson comes back around January if he's still on the team because there's been talk about trading potentially Mitchell Robinson. But if you bring Mitchell Robinson back, Cat has comfortably slid to the 4 before, and now you have a starting lineup of Brunson, Bridges, OG Anunoby, Cat, and Mitchell Robinson. I think that team can win a championship. I think you move Josh Hart to the bench. That gives you somebody. You got like Miles McBride. You got Josh Hart off the bench at that point in time. Like I think you're still not as deep as you'd want to be, but I think that's the team that can give the Celtics the most worry in the Eastern Conference. I think this Knicks team is being built to compete with the Celtics.
100%. And with the defense, I wasn't really saying about the perimeter defense, but obviously with Mitchell Robinson out, how is Cat going to fare having to guard an Embiid for all 4 quarters while
Yeah, for sure.
Robinson's out? Jokic, even a Giannis, because obviously like he's going to have to guard Giannis. Let's be honest. You're not sticking Bridges out there to try and stop Giannis. He'll go right through him.
They're gonna put. It's gonna be a combination of Cat, OG Anunoby, and then Preston Achua. And it's probably gonna get most of the 3 of them are probably gonna get the assignment for the most part. And again, you're not gonna stop Embiid. It's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna stop Jokic. So I think if you can use a combination of the 3 to slow him down, and you have Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby, whichever one's not up on the perimeter, I think they'll be fine. I agree with you that there's not the same backside defense help as that there was in Minnesota with Rudy Gobert. But I think with the perimeter defense they have, and then with the switchability of the wings that they have, I think they'll have enough bodies to kind of, again, not stop, obviously, 'cause you can't stop those guys, but mitigate and slow them down enough that the rest of the guys can work.
All right.
But again, that's my take on it. Well, we won't really know until the season starts.
Yeah.
And then if Mitchell Robinson stays on the team, we'll have to reevaluate again once he comes back into the lineup. And because, again, I mean, if they're a decent seed and Mitchell Robinson comes back and you move Cat to the 4, well, then that helps your interior defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I said, this team, I think, it's going to sound crazy. Maybe not crazy. I think this Knicks team is the biggest threat to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference.
Eastern Conference, yes.
In the Eastern Conference, because a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, Philadelphia, they just brought in Paul George," and I understand the sentiment behind that, but Embiid's never got past the second round. Paul George's been to one conference finals. These guys are just known to kind of struggle in the playoffs. Tyrese Maxey, I love the guy. I have nothing against Tyrese Maxey. We still haven't seen him too much in the playoffs. Actually, this year in the playoffs, he was fantastic. So Tyrese Maxey seems like a great playoff player, but you always got to worry about the other two guys with their health right now. The Bucks. The Bucks have won one playoff series since their championship in 2021. They've lost to the Heat twice in the second round or the first round, and then I'm pretty sure they lost to the Nets team in the second round or first, whatever. There was a couple losses. They've only had one playoff series win since their championship. So it's like, Giannis is one of the best players in the league. Damian Lillard, when healthy, is one of the better guards in the league. But they haven't shown anything the past 3 years that makes me think they can compete with the Celtics right now in the playoffs. And then, like I said, then there's the Knicks. So I think the Knicks really are.
And then also, the 76ers haven't beaten the Celtics in a series in how long?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Celtics have Embiid's number. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and again, I still think the Celtics are the better team, but the Knicks, they have OG Anunoby, they have Mikal Bridges, they have Cat, they have Josh Hart, they have Precious Achiuwa, they have guys that I think are going to be the best they can do to guard Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think that is the best set of wings in the NBA to defend them.
You plan on those two, and then Derek White or Drew Holiday go for like 25.
Listen, I think if you're the Knicks, if Drew Holiday and Derek White beat you, you just have to accept it. You know what I mean? Like, if they beat you, because they're not going to beat you 4 games out of 7, I don't think. I don't think Drew Holiday and Derek White beat you 4 games out of 7. Same with Porzingis, but, like, I don't know. Then again, Jason Tatum, for the most part, had some struggles throughout the playoffs. They still made the finals. So, I don't know, man. Like I said, I still think the Celtics are the better team, the best team in the East. But, yeah, this Knicks team, you said you're worried about Denver in the finals, which I respect that, and I agree with that. But I think the Knicks are a team that you guys don't want to fight. You guys don't want to face the Knicks. I really don't think you do. I'm not saying
I
you
want
guys.
the smoke.
That's fair. You guys, and again, you guys might come out the series, but I think it's going to be a long, hard-fought series.
The reason I say that is because I'm getting tired. I kind of got tired of the whole thing where the Celtics had the easiest path. The Celtics has the easiest path. Fine. Give us the hardest path, and we'll still win.
Been saying us like he's on the team.
Give the Celtics the hardest path, and they're still going to prevail.
I mean, I can't say otherwise. I really can't. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think the Celtics are going to have some matchups this year that, again, it also all depends on health. Because some of these teams up the top of the East could get hurt, and it just won't even matter. So we'll knock on wood there that these people end up healthy throughout the season and get a great playoff series full of healthy superstars. Because this year's playoffs, there was a lot of superstars hurt. And so, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Now, on to the Timberwolves side of the thing. They bring in Donte DiVincenzo. They bring in Julius Randle. They get a first-round pick that is so heavily protected. It's protected for the next couple of years, and then it conveys into a second-round pick. So they're probably going to end up with a second-round pick in a couple of years from it. It's not going to be a great first-round pick. I don't know. Right away, I was very unhappy with the trade for the Timberwolves.
I'm still
I'm still not happy with it. I'm a little bit better on it than I was originally, but it's like it went from like a D to a C. You know what I mean? Like it's not great. And the reason for it is because Julius Randle, when healthy, has been an All NBA player multiple times now. Like I think people are starting to kind of forget Julius Randle was a hell of a basketball player. You know what I mean? He came to New York and held it down. And honestly, Julius Randle coming to the Knicks was the start of their resurgence a couple years ago because they were trying to get Kevin Durant, they were trying to get Kyrie Irving, and they ended up with Julius Randle. And then over time, they brought in pieces around Julius Randle. So, like, I think Julius Randle's starting to get a little bit too disrespected in this. I think he deserves some more respect about who he is. And then they bring in Donte DiVincenzo, who is going to be one of the better bench pieces in the NBA after we saw what last season happened. So, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, this isn't quite as bad as I thought. The part I have the issue with is the Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert front court.
Yes.
I just Julius Randle can shoot the basketball. I'm not sitting here saying neither one of these guys can shoot the ball, but he's not Cat. Cat is on another level of offensive talent compared to Julius Randle, especially the shooting ability. Cat's one of the best shooting big men of all time, honestly, and Julius Randle is not that. So I'm really, again, you mentioned the defense before, like Julius Randle's no slouch, but like you said, we saw Cat buy in defensively last year, and that helped again. And then it's also like I don't know. It's gonna get clunky. They have Nas Reed, so they didn't really fix the issue they had. Their issue was like they had Cat, they had Nas Reed, they had Rudy Gobert, trying to figure out to get them to play together. And honestly, Cat, Rudy Gobert, Nas Reed could not all at the same time, but any combination of the three could play together. Because Nas Reed and Cat can both stretch the floor, they can defend. So you didn't really have an issue pairing any of the three of them together. Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert is going to be kind of gross. Nas Reed and Julius Randle won't be that bad. Like that wouldn't be a bad front court like for some minutes in the game. But it's like I don't know. I think you still have the same issue of three front court players you want to play, but I just think the fit got a little bit worse.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Was that it?
Yeah.
yeah. Again, I don't know. I guess their lineup. I'm thinking their lineup's going to be. Well, there's also a question about if Julius Randle is going to be healthy to start the season as well. But if we're going to talk about, I'm here alone now. That was awkward. Levi. Well, I guess it's going to be me to finish this episode out. So I'll just say my piece about that is like I guess it's going to be probably Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle if fully healthy. Obviously, if not, it's going to be Nas Reed, and then Rudy Gobert as your starting five. Your bench is going to have Donte DiVincenzo. It's going to have Nas Reed again if Julius Randle is healthy. You're going to have guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Hopefully, Leonard Miller gets some minutes this year. Like I do think depth-wise, the Timberwolves walk out of this trade happy-ish, I guess. But again, I don't love the fit of Julius Randle with Rudy Gobert. Really, the reasoning for the trade was just that the Timberwolves didn't want to pay money. They're just being frugal with their money, and they decided that potentially getting out of Julius Randle's contract earlier was worth them trading away Cat, who's probably their second best player in franchise history behind Kevin Garnett. They did him pretty dirty. I'll fight that to the end. They did Cat pretty dirty in that, and I think I don't know. Everybody seemed pretty upset with that. Yeah, I guess I'll cut it there, man. I lost my co-star. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go down, like, comment, subscribe. Check out my YouTube channel, Cloud2K. It'll be probably linked down in the description below. And he's trying to text me right now, but I'll let him know I got this recorded and finished out, man. But shout out you guys. Oh, are we getting Levi back? I can't hear you. Your mic's off. There he went again. Okay, so looks like we tried. Go down, like, comment, subscribe. Go check out my YouTube channel. Like I said, he's gonna keep trying to get back in here. I don't know why. It's not working. This is something, all right. I probably should just leave and then tell him we're gonna cut the video where it is and text him because this is not working. We'll hopefully figure this out for next episode. We're using a new recording for this one because it had some better editing software in it. So I don't know if it's just the app or I think there's a storm going on. So maybe his Wi-Fi just kind of is taking a crap. You know how that goes sometimes. That's been it for this episode. We will see you guys next Wednesday. Peace.